Out front now, Adam Kobeissi. He's the editor-in-chief of the Kobeissi Letter, which is an influential publication on global markets, and I found really fascinating. So, Adam, let's just start with the latest numbers from the Treasury Department. You write this in your newsletter, that the United States has cash balance right now of $39 billion.
Yep.
And just lest anyone at home go, oh, that's a lot of money. Okay, the U.S. spends $17 billion a day. $17 billion a day only brings in $13 billion. Gosh, after a week or so, you got a big problem. I mean, it doesn't, how dire is the situation?
Right, yeah, I mean, 39 billion, like you said, it sounds like a huge amount of money, but for the U.S. government, that's like you or I having $100 in our account, and they're burning on average, $4 billion a day, maybe more, depending on the day-to-day swings. We actually spend $1.4 billion a day just in interest expense on the U.S. debt. So, needless to say, it is becoming very crucial that we raise the debt ceiling immediately. And the quote-unquote extraordinary measures that the Treasury has taken are now being exhausted. If we can make it to June 15th, that would be big, because that would allow kind of push the default timeline back a little bit. But
because you get money coming in.
You get
from
quarterly tax payments. You get quote-unquote extraordinary measures that will supposedly help add another $140 billion in June by the Treasury, but you're kind of just kicking the can down the road.
Right. I mean, if that even were to happen and you have more time, I mean, giving these guys in Washington more time isn't not necessarily a good thing, obviously. But, now you've got Janet Yellen saying June 5th, right? Repeatedly, it had been June 1st, so it's about June 1st. Look, we understand the situation's dire, but from the public's perspective, you hear June 1st, then you hear June 5th now. Well, if we can get to June 15th, does this create the perception of crying wolf?
Yeah, I mean, that's a worry, right? Because the June 1st deadline, I feel like it started out as it was a while ago when they said June 1st.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just like June 1st, we need a deal done. Now we're kind of really getting down to granular technical details as to how the Treasury's balances are changing. And if that keeps on changing, yeah, it loses its effect. But I also think that June 5th, June 1st, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We need to reach a deal here because there's not much cash.
It doesn't mean that, okay, it's not a problem and we're just pretending it's a problem.
Exactly.
I think that's the distinction that you're drawing. All right, I want to show you something. I know you had focused in on this. This is a picture from earlier this week. It's an explosion at the Pentagon. It was not real, right? This was an AI-generated image. It was shared widely on Russian media. The markets fell. $500 billion, half $1 trillion was lost in minutes because of a bogus image. Just one bogus image.
Yep.
We can only imagine where that comes. Now, you've thought a lot about that today. Today, you talked about the S&P's gains this year. You were saying a lot of it's due to AI, to some of these big companies, Amazon, Meta, NVIDIA, which I know is one of the ones you hold in your newsletter. So you're telling me that AI is driving this. Massive, massive companies like this. I mean, I'm not saying AI isn't here to stay. Of course it is. But are we at a point right now that AI is sort of like the next crypto?
Right. Well, so that's a great question. I mean, we've been very vocal about AI for the last few months now. You're seeing over 1,000 mentions of AI on earnings calls in the second quarter alone. That's up over 70% since the previous quarter. That's up over 100% year over year. And the tweet that you put up on the screen that we were commenting on about NVIDIA and these few stocks, there's 7 stocks that are accounting for almost all the S&P's gains this year. I mean, the S&P's up 10%. If you take those 7 stocks out, and let's just call it the S&P 493, that index is basically flat. It's up 1%. Those 7 stocks in one index are up 44% this year. So AI is huge right now. You alluded to, is this a bubble? Is this a fad? Or is it the next big thing? It could be both, and it doesn't really matter because it's driving markets right now, and that's what we're looking at.
Right. Well, and it's very fair, as you say. It could be both.
Right.
Sometimes people just get, as we say, over their skis. All right, Adam, thank you very much.